Senate is set to open a 3-day national security summit in Abuja today. And that's aimed at producing concrete solutions to what lawmakers describe as the country's worsening security crisis. A statement from the Senate President's Media Office signed by Sir Kenny Okulobo said the summit will consolidate findings from zonal hearings already conducted across all 6 geopolitical regions. He noted that traditional rulers were fully involved in those sessions, stressing that lasting security can only be achieved by addressing root causes at the grassroots. Okolubo said warnings about rising insecurity have come from multiple sources, including international voices, but emphasized that the Senate had raised the alarm earlier. He cited Senator Jimoh Ibrahim's motion on the killings, first presented on the Senate floor in May of 2025. He added that Nigeria often overlooks homegrown solutions in favor of external reactions, even as both Christians and Muslims continue to suffer casualties. Now, joining us is Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale for a chat about the summit by the National Assembly over insecurity in Nigeria and an assessment of similar summits by previous sessions of the federal legislature. What hope does such summits inspire in the legislature's ability to do its work? You're welcome to the show, Mr. Dayo Sobowale. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Fantastic. Now, of course, we already know that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. What do you think is different about this summit when we compare to what we've seen in the past? How is this different?
Well, it is not going to be different because all along we have talked over the insecurity issue without taking action.
Yes.
Or if government has taken action, it has not been effective. Because instead of the issues mitigating, they are escalating. And it is very sad. I think most of them, the legislators, they are talking out of frustration. They are talking out of frustration. But you see, I won't chastise them for doing that. Because whether you like it or not, the issue of insecurity is very much with us. Even the president himself declared a state of emergency over insecurity. He declared a state of emergency. So it's as if you're at war with people we cannot defeat. And that is not good for any government, including this government. I've always defined government here as the ability of government to ensure that it is able to secure its territory and to make life safe for the people who have voted it into power. You see, it is easy to weaponize this seeming government surrender of its ability to take on our enemies. And you see, if you weaponize it, it will not be incorrect. It will not be incorrect. Because the impression I have is that the 3 arms of government, okay, let's leave the judiciary out of it now. Let's look at the executive and the legislature. They are the people who benefit most from security in this country. You remember the other time, the president ordered that they should withdraw security police from certain groups of people. If you look at the number of the policemen we have and the percentage in that sort of job, you will know that all along we have not been serious about our security. We have not been. But so far, you see, God, I will say God has protected us. But for the fact that Trump came and threw spanner in the works, we would not have woken up from our complacency. And Trump is a dangerous customer. He thrives, although I admire his policies, he thrives a lot on misinformation and the sort of people who give him the information. As at now, see what happened in South Africa. We have discussed it before. A place where for decades, the Dutch colonialists made Africans, black Africans, second-rate citizens. He's now saying they are killing whites there. And they have suffered asylum to white South Africa, and they are going there. And he has refused to go to conferences in South Africa or to allow South Africa to come to conferences. He's a dangerous, if he has not woken up from a slumber or complacency, we will not be saying what we have been saying. We have always been saying it here that people are being killed almost like fowls in Benue and Plateau. Have you not been discussing that? And it's in all the newspapers. But it is because you are categorized this as genocide that people are waking up. I hope you are able at last, because if you listen to the debate in the Senate and the House, some of the senators were asking for outside assistance to help us combat it. The others were talking of sovereignty, sovereignty in the face of weakness and indolence. So it is an ongoing debate. It is an ongoing debate. And all I want is for this president to assume responsibility. And I don't mind if he declares a state of emergency, but put the military on notice that they have a deadline to secure the whole country or get out of the way and let new people do it. The sooner we do that, the better. Let's leave it at that for now.
And, you know, that point that you just made kind of leads me to my question, which is, in terms of a timeline, how do you see this actually playing out? When can we expect to see the military, you know, sit up, if we want to use that term, and just actually face this head on, where we start seeing real, tangible responses to this fight?
That's a rhetorical question. You see, the military has never said that it's fighting half-heartedly. But that it has not been up to the task. The results are on the ground. And that's what I said. This president should give, the buck stops on his table. Let him assume responsibility fully and give them a deadline. Instead of all this haphazard rhetoric that we have seen, which, you know, has escalated to the US, and now we are looking at how Trump, an erratic leader at best, is going to handle our problems. And even our legislators who are supposed to make laws to secure the country are literally asking for outside help. So it is, like I said, the opposition may be said to be weaponizing it, or politicizing it, but the results on the ground don't look nice. You can almost say, like some generals say during the American Civil War, we have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us. Let's leave it at that.
Let's go from, no, we're not going to leave it at that, Mr. Sobowale. The enemy, okay. Yes, the enemy is us. So let's go from there. Yeah. Now, of course, you mentioned that it would be great for the president to give a directive and a timeline to the military, yes, to deliver or step out of the way. But what about those other factors that are unaddressed or that are being swept under the carpet? The other factors where we're seeing that, whether it's about the sponsors of these groups, we've heard numerous allegations about. So it doesn't seem like it's just a straightforward affair when it comes to dealing with this. Why haven't we seen a body language from this government when it comes to addressing the sponsors, the root cause of this case of terrorism, banditry, whatever we want to call it?
See, for the opportune time, because we have always discussed it here. Mm-hmm. See, you know, this administration got into office on the Muslim ticket. Mm. It is still paying the price of that electoral strategy. Because some people are holding it to task, especially from the north, that they put him in power, and anything they see, any attempt at the tax reforms, anything at federalizing or achieving equity, they see it as confrontation to the north, and that the north put him in power. That's a sort of blackmail. That's one. Then we have always even discussed here. They say, and I think somebody mentioned it in the House, that you see religious sympathy, empathy, for Islam, amongst our security chiefs and even our soldiers, foot soldiers, is hampering the capacity or the stomach to take on insurgents, because they are Islamic insurgents. That's the stark truth. And it's better said now. And I've said it earlier anyway. So until we can see, and even some of the senators said that they should be careful how they recruit people into the army, because some Boko Haram people have infiltrated and entered. And you know, there was a time we said we give amnesty to people that will accommodate those who have changed their minds. I don't know how people change their minds on religious ideology. But you see, this is a federation, a very vast federation with so many ethnic, religious, and partisan considerations that it is difficult to take a decision. That is why you have this endless security. See, if you too much of everything is bad. If you have to take a decision and you take days discussing what you have to do, by the time you finish discussing it, the enemy will have overrun your discussion already. So you have dilly-dallied too much because we are such a complex society, and so many issues have been, again, that word was coming, weaponized, politicized, against even the pure and true intentions of this administration. But what this administration needs best is to muster enough strength and crush this insurgency and make people safe. Not negotiating with kidnappers or creating anxiety, panic when some school children are taken, and then celebrating when they are rescued. Those hip-hop, such how do I put it? Such unsteady way of implementing policy does not create comfort or put people in a state of security. I'm not saying you have reached a situation of panic, but this Trump intrusion has made people alert to so many issues. People can say that there is no genocide in Nigeria because Christians and Muslims are being persecuted, but that cannot be exact truth, because the fact remains that in the Benue state, Benue Plateau, for a long time, look at the newspapers, people are being killed, people are living in internally displaced people camps. And they said they wanted to return, but the military too have taken over their residence, and they don't want them to come back. So it's a flux, a complex issue. And you see, it is the president that the buck stops on his table. He must quell the fear, uncertainty, and the anxiety in the land over insecurity, and let people know that he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria. That's all.
Mr. Dayo Sobowale, thank you very much for joining us on this topic as we continue to discuss insecurity.